you know, the Doge Project, the Department of Government Efficiency, headed up by the Nick Cannon of white people, Elon Musk, is in... It's in full effect, and it may surprise you. I, for one, happen to be, quite frankly, Doge curious. I'm actually somewhat Doge adjacent. So, Mr. President, if you would.
We have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government.
Yes! Now, if you had woken up from a coma and heard nothing else that this man had said for the last 10 years, you might think to yourself, I like this guy. I, too, believe government needs to be more efficient, to weed out waste, fraud, and abuse, and deliver the necessary services that Americans rely on more agilely. So what do we do first? Do we pour through the Inspector General's reports that have addressed these things, utilize computerishness to excise redundancies in the system, find ways to more efficiently deliver the government assistance so many Americans rely on? What's first?
Elon Musk and his Doge team firing thousands of federal workers.
They're trying to cut 10% of the federal workforce, which is 200,000 jobs.
Oh! Have we determined if those are effective workers? Is it based on performance? Are you going in with a scalpel so that we don't hit any vessels and vital organs?
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
So, straight amputation. We're just amputation. It's like we're treating public servants as some kind of underclass.
The DC creature is like an animal infested with ticks and parasites. Our money is lining these swamp creatures' pockets.
You know what you call someone who sucks up resources in return for nothing? You call them a parasite. And that is what the federal workforce has become.
These saboteurs, the dead-enders, the DEI undercover agents.
The fraudsters, liars, cheaters, globalists, and deep state bureaucrats are being sent packing.
Yeah! You! Guy who tests water for appropriate levels of fecal matter? What are we talking about? What? You know, this is a stark emotional whiplash from looking for efficiencies. But apparently our nation's civil service is now synonymous with waste, fraud, and abuse. And MAGA world is celebrating with maximum folksy.
The gravy train, for a lot of these folks, it's been on biscuit wheels, and it's about to run off the dadgum tracks, and it's about time.
First of all, there is no f***ing way you actually talk like that. No way. You're a congressman from Tennessee. You didn't spring fully formed out of a primordial cracker barrel. Oh, this here bureaucracy is a Chattanooga choo-choo to a crawfish boil on my flapjacks. I'm just stringing food words together like nonsense. Pew, pew. Other reactions were just creepy.
Doge is dishing out spankings like daddy daycare.
I don't remember the spanking scene from Daddy Daycare. Oh, you must mean the gay porn film Daddy Daycare. I get it, Jesse. I get it. You were watching the film that answers the question, what would happen if a bunch of dudes in a daycare? And it just stuck in your head. You know, I gotta tell you, I feel like you can make efficiency recommendations or cuts without necessarily demonizing the people who are only carrying out Congress's wishes. But I feel like that. They don't. Here's Donald Trump's new director of the Offices of Management and Budget on his feelings about everyone who works for him.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work.
Mission accomplished. Because these workers are the worst, a hive of scum and villainy. Star Wars reference. Mostly scum and villainy. Just not the workers you know.
Let me tell you a story about Chris. He's going to get doged. And this guy's not a DEI consultant. This guy's not a climate consultant. I finally found one person I knew that got doged, and it hit me in the heart. We just need to be a little bit less callous with the way, Harold, we talk about doging people.
Do you watch your f***ing show? Yes, you certainly want to be callous, like referring to someone losing their livelihood as being a child being spanked at daycare. But I guess that's just the price of efficiency. Doge is dropping force-guided bombs into the thermal exhaust port that is the Death Star of our bureaucracy. I f***ing love Star Wars. I just love the film. But Doge is Jedi-level shit, man.
The FDA is looking to rehire around 300 people. The Trump administration will reverse staffing cuts to the 9/11 Health Fund.
Hundreds of workers at the National Nuclear Security Administration fired, then nearly all rehired days later.
The Veterans Affairs Department reinstated terminated employees, and the USDA is rescinding termination letters sent to people working on the response to bird flu.
When I said you were criminal parasites, I obviously wasn't referring to, I have the bird flu. Come back to work. Please. But that's fine. Staffing is only part of the Doge mission. There's other crazy shit we could cut.
We don't need to be wasting money on ridiculous items like seeing how fast shrimp can run on treadmills.
$1.5 million to see the effect of yoga on goats.
$1 million to study Mexican ducks in their wetland facilities.
Studies on the effect of meditation on parrots.
Nearly $1 million to study if cocaine makes Japanese quail more sexually promiscuous.
I'm going to go with yes on that last one. I feel that I, not a scientist, can very confidently state, pre-experiment, if you are a Japanese quail with an 8-ball, you are getting your cloaca sucked. Oh. I'm sorry. That may be the most favorite thing I've ever said on this show. No, that's not. Now, obviously, that list of programs, some of them are being presented to seem even more ridiculous, and some of those were completely invented out of thin air. But the point is, why are we spending money on things that seem obviously stupid? Even though a government-funded study on Gila monsters is how we ended up with Ozempic. By the way, quick pitch. Weight gain also would be solved by Japanese quail cocaine. It's really the Star Wars of drugs, cocaine. No downsides. You'd be having your cloacas sucked in no time. All right, but even if this project of Doge is animated by malice for administrators and is seemingly rash and occasionally cutting off critical government functions out of haste, the savings alone will be worth it. On the Doge website, they posted $16 billion saved just in canceled contracts. Interesting, if true.
A closer look shows big problems. For example, Doge claimed axing a single immigration and customs contract saved $8 billion. Turns out that contract was worth a maximum of $8 million.
The Wall Street Journal estimates the actual amount saved at not $16 billion, but closer to $2.5 billion.
Who amongst us hasn't lied about saying something is 16 when it's really 2.5 billion? billion inches. That's not true either. See, it seems that Doge is struggling a bit to get its footing. From made-up claims about $50 million of taxpayer money going for Gazan condoms, to billions in Social Security payments to dead people, a claim that turned out to not be real, despite what you've heard.
We have millions and millions of people over 100 years old, because they're obviously fraudulent or incompetent. But if you take all of those millions of people off Social Security, all of a sudden we have a very powerful Social Security with people that are 80 and 70 and 90, but not 200 years old.
True. You can't argue with that if only it were happening. But it's not happening. We're not paying millions and millions of dead people's Social Security money. And even if there was a 200-year-old man walking around, he wouldn't need Social Security. He'd still be in Congress. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. Cutting money shouldn't be this hard. I'm starting to think that we as a country don't understand where the real waste, fraud, and abuse in our system really is. Maybe the savings we gleaned from cutting VA nurses and iguana STD studies isn't where the real money is. Let me see if I can noodle. You know what? Let me join Doge. I'm going to see if I can noodle some ideas here. I want to get down some certain ideas. I want to do, again, yeah, there we go. I got that. Let's see what I can do here. This is my wanna be an accountant starter kit. So I got it off of Amazon for $5,000. My accountant told me not to get it. So we're looking to save taxpayers some money. And I know, let me think. We got the studies that are done. How about we just take $3 billion in subsidies we give to oil and gas companies that already turn billions in profits? How long did that take? Oh, wait. How about we just close down the carried interest loophole on hedge funds? That's $1.3 billion a year. Oh, how about we stop the $2 trillion we've given to defense contractors to build a fighter jet that blows when everybody knows the next war is going to be fought with drones and blockchain, whatever that is. Holy shit. I can't believe it. I just saved us billions of dollars in 11 seconds. Just call me Big Balls. Right? I'm sorry, I'm being told that nickname is already taken. Well, can I get a Doge nickname? Well, disturbingly low-hanging balls? Really? Oh, like you've never heard of how would you even know that? Oh, I'm sorry. But see, this is where the real money is. The real money, the money our free market-ish system uses to prop up corporate profit at the expense of the taxpayer. Pharmaceutical companies get everything from our government: tax breaks, research grants, patent extensions, worth billions of dollars. And what do we, the people, get for it? The highest drug prices in the Western Hemisphere. And for some reason, the possibility of an infection in our perineum. Why would you take a drug that would give you an infection in your perineum? And why are they telling us about it at dinner time? But you know what's so horrible about our system now and the corruption that lays within it? We're so f***ing numb to it, we actually tout tiny cracks in that exploitation as victory.
The president touting the first ever negotiations with pharmaceutical companies to lower the cost of 10 drugs.
And today, I'm proud to announce that Medicare has reached agreement with all manufacturers on all 10 drugs selected in the first round of negotiation.
Oh, can it be? The companies we subsidize with billions of dollars are allowing us the privilege to negotiate the price of 10 of their drugs? And 10 is all of them, right? It would be embarrassing if it was a small drop in the bucket and that the American people didn't expect that we should negotiate for all their f***ing drugs because we've already paid for them with our subsidies. Come on! I'll be going to the hospitals. What we do with pharmaceutical companies is like the worst Shark Tank deal in fucking history. Well, we're asking for billions of dollars of your money. Oh, what do we get, 10% of your company? No. Do we get a discount? No. What do we get? Have you checked your perineum? We live in the upside down, and don't blame the corporations. They are profit-seeking psychopaths that need the lowest wages and the cheapest raw materials to drive their highest profits. But why do we, the taxpayers, subsidize their psychopathy? That's the waste, fraud, and abuse in our system. That's it. That's what we should be going after. Not the fantastical, overgenerous terrorist condom allowances.
In another program, $50 million plus another $50 million for condoms for Hamas. You know about that? $100 million for condoms. Condoms. Does everybody know what a condom is?
You delivering this speech in an elementary school? Why wouldn't they know what condoms are? Look, capitalism is by definition exploitative. It's how it operates. That's fine. But then government's role should be to ease the negative effects on Americans of that exploitation, not subsidize that treachery with our money. We're getting f***ed at a Diddy party, and they're making us buy the baby oil. Look, man, I want Doge to work. I want better efficiencies. I want to get rid of the alphabet agencies that don't do enough, make the Pentagon pass an audit. But we are doging in the wrong place if we want to really change the system. Companies like Walmart, McDonald's make billions of dollars in taxpayer-subsidized profits, yet many of their hardworking employees need taxpayer-subsidized public assistance. Airlines get billions in bailouts that they use in stock buybacks and bonuses. But if you're on food assistance, you're not allowed to buy hot food with it. Because apparently heated entrees are for winners. We are subsidizing the very system that makes workers' lives harder in the first place. All in the name of freedom and liberty. But the greatest restriction of freedom in this country isn't DEI and pronoun pressure. It's f***ing poverty and struggle. And the government's role, I'm not done, you bastards. It's fine. The government's role should be to end the corruption that enables that exploitation. That's what the Democrats should be doing every day. Every day at 5 p.m. sharp, the Democrats should go live on Facebook and do the people's audit. Find the absurdities and the remedies in our exploitative system. Get someone like AOC or Jasmine Crockett or Chris Murphy or anybody that doesn't sound like they're complaining why there's no more frozen yogurt at the cafeteria in the villages. I'm sorry. You have no Riz. And we need something more than shouting. We need to do something constructive to anchor our hopes. A new acronym for a new age. It's not MAGA. It's something more like Make America Not Governed in Obviously Negative. Abort! I'm kidding. No vigilantes.
Donald Trump promised he could secure a peace deal within 1 day of taking office, which means he is now negative 34 days ahead of schedule. Good work, sir. As we know, the Ukraine war began in 2022 when Putin invaded Ukraine on 3 separate fronts while launching missile attacks on Ukrainian cities. Or as Donald Trump puts it,
President Trump has made a series of false assertions blaming Ukraine for starting the war.
You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
that's an interesting interpretation in that it's not what happened. In fact, it's the exact opposite of what happened. And this has set off alarm bells for a lot of conservatives, including Brian Kilmeade, Trump's buddy and the Joey Tribbiani of Fox and Friends. He tried to gently push back when Trump started to blame the destruction of Ukraine on President Zelensky.
You have a man who's led a country that had the most beautiful cities that they demolished, had the most beautiful domes. Those domes are the most beautiful in the world.
But it's all Russia's. But that's Russia's fault, though, Mr. President. Russia
They're
did
all
the
demolished, 1,000-year-old domes, and everything's demolished.
But, Mr. President, that's all.
Killed.
That's Vladimir Putin's fault. Don't you agree?
I get tired of listening to it. He makes it very hard to make deals. But look what's happened to his country. It's been demolished.
But no, I hear you.
He's going to go back.
But, Mr. President, you know who's to blame for that.
That's Vladimir. But
don't you think it's Vladimir Putin that did the invasion unwarranted, to try to take back land he had no right to? And don't you think fundamentally that's that? And if you could just get now both sides want to talk, it seems. So we should just get to that point.
They only want to talk because of me.
But this is how off the rails Trump is. His beloved Fox News is saying, Mr. President, you sound crazy, and I believe DEI causes tornadoes. And he's right, not about the DEI causing tornadoes. We all know trans people cause tornadoes. But about this war, under Donald Trump, America has fully taken Russia's side, which means, are we the bad guys now? Well, that didn't answer that. But I think we might be the bad guys. It's not just Republicans who are alarmed. The entire continent of Europe is freaking the out. If the United States will help Russia take over Ukraine, who's next? Poland? Latvia? Slovenia? Slovakia? Albania? Estonia? Yeah, I got a 97 in AP Geography. Thank you. Thank you. I would have gotten 100, but I misspelled my name. So yesterday, Europe tried to get Trump back on its side by sending over its most charismatic Trump whisperer, Emmanuel Macron of France. And right from the start of that meeting, you could really see how he let his guard down.
Par la discussion sur les minerais critiques qui sont en train de finaliser.
That is the most beautiful language. I have no idea what he's saying, but that is the beautiful, elegant, beautiful language.
Yeah, Trump just loves the French accent, probably because it's the native tongue of his hero, Pepe Le Pew. Something about that pervert skunk that Trump finds so relatable. But Macron's accent gives him a lot of leeway to gently correct Trump every time he spews bullshit.
I mean, this war costed all of us a lot of money. And this is a responsibility of Russia, because the aggressor is Russia.
Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid. We paid 60% of the total effort. And it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money.
Smile. The guy is smitten. Usually if someone confronts him about being wrong, he takes away their security detail, but he's letting Macron do whatever he wants. I think a sexy accent is his kryptonite. I assumed it was vegetables, but to be fair, it's not just Macron. Trump was swooning over anyone with a sexy accent.
I want to know what is your idea about Italy, if you want to make the same thing.
Can you talk a little louder? You have a beautiful voice, but you're not.
In these days, you speak.
Where are you from?
Italy.
From Italy. Oh, I love Italy.
Oh, Italy. I love that restaurant with the grocery store attached. Oh, now. Love it. So good. Now tell me, which section are you from? Formaggio? Produce? Self-checkout? By the way, Trump is the only person on earth who has ever asked an Italian person to talk louder. Of course, as we saw last week, not every accent does it for him. Sometimes it just confuses him.
Mr. President, people in India would be welcoming your decision to extradite the Habur Rana to...
I can't understand a word he's saying.
Dude, come on. If you don't understand what someone is saying, don't be rude and dismiss them. Just laugh and go, oh my God, that's so crazy, like a normal person. I mean, is Trump sure that he wants to be president? Because this is the worst job in the world if you don't understand accents. It's like working as an escort if you're still not 100% sure which hole it's supposed to go in. Although, would that actually make you a great escort? I guess we'll never know. By the way, if you're wondering how tough Indian accents are for Trump, he had to get a translator for it. Not for the language, for the accent.
It is evident that how the deep state of United States was involved in regime change. So what is your point of view about the Bangladesh?
Soros, and what is the role that the deep state played in the situation in Bangladesh?
I can't believe Doge is going around looking for inefficiencies. Meanwhile, Trump has an English-to-English translator. But if you do have to have a translator for accents, why does the translator also have an accent? Maybe the plan was to have a string of translators with slightly less of an accent until they finally got to something Trump could process. Eventually, it'll just be the word Bangladesh written across the boobs of a swimsuit model. Oh, now I get it. Anyway, back to Macron. Now, you might think that it's not wise for Europe to hinge its survival on the seductive power of Macron's accent, but Trump himself admitted that it works.
I just want to tell you a little story. So we were at the Eiffel Tower having dinner with your wonderful wife and with my wonderful wife, and we came out and he started speaking the French deal. And we didn't have an interpreter, and he was going on and on and on, and I was just nodding, yes, yes, yes. And he really sold me out, because I got back the next day and I read the papers. I said, that's not what we said. He's a smart customer, I will tell you that.
Hold on. Forget the accent. What was going on with that handshake? Are they doing the, no, you hang up, but with their hands? Today was a big day for Donald Trump. He had a meeting with every member of his cabinet, and he even invited the president. By the way, thanks for dressing up, Elon. Don't let us keep you from a blackjack tournament in 2006. But yes, Elon did have a seat at the table. Well, not an actual seat. He was more looming over it, like an Ed Hardy Sith Lord. And some reporters wondered if that created tension with the actual cabinet members, given that he keeps trying to fire all of their staff.
President Trump put out a Truth Social today saying that everybody in the cabinet was happy with you. I just wondered if you had heard otherwise, and if you had heard anything about members of the cabinet who weren't happy with the way things were going.
Elon, let the cabinet speak just for a second. Anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, we'll throw him out of here. Is anybody unhappy?
It's nice to know that someone gets a vote on whether Elon Musk should be running the country. It would have been awkward if someone started to raise their hand before everyone else started clapping. Me? Oh, no, I wasn't raising my hand. I was just about to do a Nazi salute. Phew, good save. So everyone is proud of the job that Elon is doing, and Elon agrees.
And I should say, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect. But when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly. So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola, Ebola prevention. I think we all want Ebola prevention. So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately.
I'm sorry, you accidentally, very briefly canceled what? I hate to be giving efficiency notes to the efficiency master, but perhaps next time we keep Ebola prevention going the whole time. Is Elon really asking asking for credit for only canceling Ebola prevention a little bit? It's like he dropped a baby and went, "What? Look how fast I picked it up. 5-second rule." I think we should be a little more careful, especially when we're already dealing with the measles outbreak. But don't worry, Elon is not in charge of that. RFK Jr. is.
There's 124 people who have contracted measles at this point, mainly, we're told, in the Mennonite community. There are 2 people who have died, but we're watching it, so it's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
Quick question. When you say we have measles outbreaks every year, are you talking about America or like you? Right now, it sounds like you might take out that whole room, and that would be terrible, I want to say. Yes, RFK is overseeing the measles outbreak, and he has promised that he will personally, if the hospital allows it, consume all of the corpses of those infected. So he's really seeing to it. And this cabinet meeting was kind of a waste of time, okay? But Trump has been getting some stuff done. For example, yesterday he signed an executive order that forces hospitals to be transparent with their prices. And look, that seems like a good idea, and I am perfectly capable of admitting it when Donald Trump did something good. When Donald Trump did something good. When Donald Trump did something good. I can't say it. Why is this so hard? Thank God those don't come along very often. Of course, because it's Donald Trump, most people will never hear about this price transparency thing because at the same meeting, he seemed more interested in doing stuff like this.
Do you have one of those Trump was right about everything hats? Give me this here. Give me all of them.
Sure.
Look. Yes. See that? Trump was right about everything. It just came in. Somebody sent it. I said, this was sent in by a fan. I said, I think we should make some of them, right? But we were pretty much. You want one?
Okay, first of all, that is way too much text, guys. If your hat needs a bookmark, it's not a good hat. And look, I hate to quibble with the hat, but Trump wasn't right about everything, okay? There were a couple of small things. I don't know, Haitian immigrants weren't eating cats and dogs. There wasn't $50 million worth of condoms sent to Gaza. Belgium is not a city. The 2020 election wasn't stolen. China doesn't operate the Panama Canal, nor does it. And the best taco bowls are not made at the Trump Tower Grill. But yes, other than that, Trump was right about everything. Now, I'm not trying to be a hater, but if you're going to own a hat with a ridiculous lie on it, at least make it a fun, ridiculous lie, which is why I'm selling these. Garfield did 9/11 hats. Get yours today, before he finishes the job. Obviously, Trump didn't bring everybody into the Oval Office just to sell hats. He was there to sell something much more fancy.
We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus.
Oh, green card privileges plus. See, I was still getting America with ads. Quick question. If I'm unhappy with America, can I cancel my subscription after 7 days? I am curious, what does this gold card do?
It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money.
Did this guy just put a cover charge on America? It's $5 million to get in, but he'll waive it if you bring in 3 hot girls with you. I mean, I guess it beats the old way of becoming a citizen, which was to marry Donald Trump, but still. I feel like immigrant stories are going to be a lot less inspiring in the future. My grandfather came to this country with nothing but $5 million and the clothes in his custom Louis Vuitton 5-piece trunk set. Although I have to admit, I don't totally hate the idea of buying your way into a country. Hey, Canada. How you doing, girl? I'm just going to come out and say it. I want to be in you. And listen, I don't have $5 million, but I do have $4 and a cough drop. And this orange hat. Let's talk about it. Now, you might be thinking, wait a second, if the U.S. is just going to put citizenship up for sale, doesn't that mean that any monster can buy one as long as they're rich? Well, according to Trump,
Would a Russian oligarch be eligible for a gold card?
Yeah, possibly. Hey, I know some Russian oligarchs that are very nice people. It's possible.
Seems like Trump watched Honora, and his takeaway from that movie was, we need to do more to help out that rich Russian teenager. He's so good at sex. But if you're letting Russians come into the country, you got to be careful, okay? I don't want to engage in stereotypes, but if you let a Russian in, then there's going to be a smaller Russian inside of him, and then an even smaller Russian inside of him, and on and on and on. There's always another. Since taking office, Donald Trump and the Republicans have been making a lot of big changes in the same way that Godzilla made some big changes in Tokyo. But there's also been a liberal opposition growing over the past few weeks. People have started taking to the streets and making their voices heard.
Hundreds of federal employees gathered on Capitol Hill for what they called a rally to save the civil service.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk.
Which key are we on? Oh, sorry, but that sounded so bad I had to cleanse my ears with an RFK Jr. speech. Were there any protests that aren't just singing?
There is a unique protest getting underway at the Kennedy Center. 2 dance companies are staging a dance protest, as they're calling it, against the Trump administration's recent takeover of the Kennedy Center.
We have started to see dancers show up here to the Kennedy Center doing a dance called the Nelken line. It's by a German dancer that is pretty popular, they tell me.
Is this how white ladies protest now? I demand to dance for the manager. At least, you know what? At least they're getting out there, and these are regular citizens doing their best. It's not their responsibility to block the Trump agenda. That's on the Democratic Party. They have the talent and experience honed from decades of asking me for money. They will know exactly the most effective way to fight Donald Trump.
We need to change the conversation. And that's why I'm launching a new podcast.
Cool. California Governor Gavin Newsom is starting a podcast. I can't believe they rebuilt LA that fast. Glad you have the time. I mean, forgive me for not subscribing to the Gavin Newsom pomade hour, but I think the moment calls for a little more than polite conversation, although some Democrats are taking that very literally.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off. Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I say Trump.
Ooh, okay. You guys kissed your lobbyists with that mouth? That's right, the Democratic strategy written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Look, I get the spirit behind it, but cursing in politics doesn't exactly age well. The Gettysburg Address wouldn't have been the classic it became if it went 80 years ago. Not to mention dropping the F-bomb isn't really for everyone. I noticed Congresswoman Maxine Dexter had a little bit of trouble.
I am going to tell you that we do have to... I don't swear in public very well, but we have to Trump.
Oh, you are right. You don't swear in public very well. There are 1,000 ways to say you, and you found literally the only wrong one. I mean, unless she meant, we have to Trump. There's a sign-up sheet next to the stage. Suck him off. Suck him off. But not all Democrats are filling up the swear jar. Some have gone much more highbrow with a little resistance wordplay.
Every time you hear Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, you just remember it is the Department of Government Evil.
Doge, which actually stands for Destruction of Government by Elon.
Just stands for Department of Gutting Education.
Dangerous oligarchs grab everything.
All right, okay. I see what you did there. I'm just glad that Maxine Dexter didn't join in. She'd be like, more like the Department of Glory Holing Elon. This is what happens when you're the party of liberal arts majors. MAGA stormed the Capitol and Democrats are doing creative writing exercises. But hey, if clever acronyms aren't your thing, Democrats are also pulling out some timely pop culture references.
We also know, of course, that Elon Musk is sending his unqualified Doge staff to carry out this agenda across all these agencies. And in some cases, actually teenage staffers. They're trying to rob you, and they're probably a minor. Thank you, and I yield back.
I'm sorry, I became a Republican for a second. Look, I don't know how, but I think this congressman somehow just lost the beef for Kendrick. I do think, though, that every rap battle should end with, thank you, I yield my time. Let's all be fair, okay? Because not all of the Democratic messaging has been breaking the cringe-o-meters. Bernie Sanders has been on an anti-oligarchy tour, and his town halls have been drawing huge crowds. Remember, he's been warning us about the oligarchy way before Elon Musk was wearing a MAGA hat, so this really feels like his moment. Too bad he'll be 87 years old by the time the next election rolls around, unless we can give him the substance. I don't know, I'm halfway through that movie. I assume it all works out? I'll tell you one Democrat who took it to Trump face to face, the governor of Maine, Janet Mills. Last week, Trump held a meeting at the White House where he called her out for refusing to comply with his ban on trans athletes. And once he did that, she made it clear that she wasn't going to comply with any of his bullshit.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is the Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal law.
Well, we are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state. Good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a really easy one.
Yes! Andy Cohen will never make a show just as good as what I just watched. That's how you do it. Forget singing, forget dancing. This is how you confront Trump with tipsy ant energy. Define the issues and force the court to pick a side.
Which side are
No,
you
no,
on?
stop that. Stop